Okay, Trev, why don't you give us a rundown on the new additions and the guys we bid farewell to?
Well, first off, we'll start with Jeff Mathis. He was traded away to the Marlins. He's been the Jays' backup catcher last year. Did a decent job, but that's all he is, a backup catcher. He won't be missed that much. Henderson Alvarez, on the other hand, it will be a bit sadder to see him go because he has great potential as long as he can come up with a third off-speed pitch, which he'll be able to get guys out with. Eno Escobar, with all the controversy that he had on and off the field, it won't be sad to see him go, especially with having someone like Jose Reyes take his place.
Yeah, he definitely embarrassed the team a bit, and I'm sure they weren't too sad to unload him to maybe avoid any future embarrassment.
Yeah, Alex Anthopoulos has been good on giving guys a second chance, which he did with Escobar when he came over from Atlanta, but he's not too keen on giving guys third and fourth chances, so it was time for him to go. Aiden Echeverria was one of the Jays' top prospects. He is fantastic with the glove, but there was questions about whether he'd be able to get it done with the bat. I think that his bat will come around, and it'll be good to see him flourish in a place like Miami. Jake Marisnick was one of the Jays' top outfield prospects. His bat was developing this year. His glove and his arm are great, and I think he'll do good things for Miami in the years to come.
So, are we trading away the future of the club here with some of these young prospects?
There's a very limited amount of prospects that are going to Miami that will be missed. Most of them, like Marisnick, have no opening. There's no opening on the team for them, so there's no point in having them. We have guys like Colby Rasmus, Anthony Gose, and Jose Bautista, and they will take up all of the outfield spots. Melky Cabrera as well, we'll get to him in a minute, but they'll be taking up the outfield spots for years to come. Next, we'll get on to a couple of the pitching prospects that the Jays gave up. They gave up Anthony DeSclafani, which last year he had a great year, but he's still about 4 or 5 years away from making it to the majors, so there's no telling what could happen in those years. And then Justin Nicolino, who was part of the Lansing 3 last year. He's a great pitcher. He's the most polished out of the 3 of them, but he also has the least upside. He'll be a good 3-4 starter for the Marlins in a couple of years, but he won't be missed with the additions that the Blue Jays have now. The Jays are getting shortstop Jose Reyes. He's going to be a great addition to the team. He brings a lot of speed and brings them a good leadoff hitter, the first solid leadoff hitter that they've had for years. He has issues with his legs. He's had hamstring issues in the past, and playing on turf may re-aggravate that, but over the last couple years he has been very healthy. The Jays got Josh Johnson and Mark Burley. They'll be great additions to the rotation, and they'll throw ERAs in around 350, with Josh Johnson having the possibility of pitching into the 2s. Mark Burley is very consistent. Over his whole career, he's been pitching 200 innings with an ERA under 4, which is amazing for someone who does not throw too hard. The Jays also got John Buck. He played for the Jays in 2010. He hit 280, had 20 home runs. Over the last couple seasons, he's been declining, but it'll be nice to see if he can return to form in Toronto. The Jays got Emilio Bonifacio. He is an infielder, outfielder. I think that he'll be facing Meiser Asteris for the second base spot. He brings a lot of speed to the club, and if he is the Jays' second baseman next year, then I think that they'll have him batting second, which would bring Jose Reyes, Emilio Bonifacio, followed by Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. That's a lot of speed and power at the top of the lineup. Next up, the Jays signed an outfielder in Melky Cabrera. Over the last 2 seasons, he's been hitting great, but it was found out last year that he was taking performance-enhancing drugs, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not he can do good without the steroids, or whether he'll go back to what his career was before the last 2 years, which was him hitting around 260 without much power and not much speed.
Trev, is it true that taking steroids makes your nuts shrink?
I cannot attest to that. I've never taken steroids, but I'm sure if you had an interview with Melky Cabrera, he could tell you all about that.
I'd be a little more worried about him having a little roid rage attack on that. But having said that, Trev, I fully support you taking roids if you can make $8 million a year, at least for 1 year.
Yeah, the $8 million that Melky Cabrera is going to be making over the next 2 seasons is a bit surprising, considering that he only made $6 million last year, so he's getting an increase after being a cheater. And I'm not sure if he'll be able to live up to this. I would have thought that he would have taken a 1 year, $3-4 million deal just to get on the right track and enter free agency next year when he's proved himself.
Well, let's hope that they're rolling the dice on the right guy this time.
The Jays team next year looks like it's going to be a contender. If they can throw in one more starting pitcher, and they might look at trading either J.P. Arencibia, John Buck, or Travis Denard, I think that they'll be in a great place next season. With the decline of Boston, New York's always getting older, but somehow they manage to pull it through. Baltimore, I'm not sure if they'll be as lucky as they were last year. I don't see a reason for them to be. And Tampa Bay is always great with their great pitching staff. But if they're losing a key piece of their offense in B.J. Upton, I'm not sure how well they'll be able to bounce back.
Well, there's another week of the Jays Report.